Everyone keeps talking about abortion for the hard cases, but that's barely 5% of all abortions. So what about the other 95%? You've probably heard this argument 100 times. Abortion needs to stay legal because of the hard cases. Rape, incest, medical emergencies. Those situations are horrific. Nobody's arguing that. But here's the part nobody talks about. Those cases are teeny tiny fractions of all abortions. So why is that the entire argument? Why are we building the conversation around the exception instead of the reality? Because once you actually look at what's driving most abortions, the conversation changes a lot, and it gets uncomfortable really, really fast. Before anyone jumps, let me be clear here. This isn't about judging people. It's not about pretending tough situations don't exist. And it's definitely not about acting like life is always simple. But if we want a serious conversation, we should probably be honest about what's actually happening here, and not the version that's easiest to argue. Because when people talk about this topic, they usually lead with the most extreme scenarios. Emotion gets attention, it gets agreement, I know that. But it also shifts focus away from the bigger picture, and that's where things get messy. Here's what most people don't realize. The majority of abortions are not due to rape or incest. They're not primarily medical emergencies either. Most come down to timing, financial pressure, relationship instability, or simply not feeling ready. Those are real pressures. Life gets messy. I get it. But framing the entire argument around rare cases, that skews perception. So why is society obsessed with the extreme scenarios? I remember talking to a young lady once, and she said completely casually, "I'm just not ready right now." Like she was ordering a frickin' latte. And that hit me, because this is real life, not a debate. Real choices with real consequences. It's not about headlines. It's about people living their messy, complicated lives. And as a mom, I get the overwhelm. I've been there. Believe me. But there's a difference between a hard day and an optional choice. Focusing only on exceptions justifies a lot of behavior that doesn't align with those exceptions. It makes reality seem optional, at best. That leads to another thing that people don't like to admit. Do you notice how abortion is usually discussed? It's women's rights, or health care, or freedom of choice, or it's my body. It sounds empowering, sure, but it's also misleading. It shifts the focus away from the actual circumstances driving most abortions. And once something is framed as right, questioning it suddenly becomes, well, wrong. I've seen it in real conversations. The second you question anything, it's about defending yourself, not discussing the issues. There's more to this than most people want to admit. Now let's step back a second and look at what this says about our culture. This isn't just legal, it's cultural. Society prioritizes convenience, control, timing, and independence. Those things aren't bad, but when they outweigh everything else, that's when perspective shifts. I've seen this firsthand in my nursing career. I remember a patient, a young mom, walking in for what she called a procedure. She was terrified, stressed, and she told me, almost in passing, that she just wasn't ready for another child. And honestly, she wasn't facing a crisis or danger. Life was just hitting her fast and hard at the moment. The fear, the panic in her eyes, the way she described it, it hit me. Because this isn't abstract. These are real people making real choices that have real consequences. And yet society packages it all like it's just a statistic. It's one thing to argue numbers. It's another to see it face to face. That experience reminds me of why we have to treat this discussion with nuance, honesty, and empathy. This is where the conversation breaks down, folks. Building the argument around the exception changes how people view the majority. Language shapes perception. Avoiding parts of the discussion limits thinking. So here's the thing. Most people never hear the messy, real stories. They only hear the soundbite. And that's why everyone feels so lost, so frustrated, and frankly, so divided. But if you actually look and really pay attention, you'll see patterns that no one talks about. Disagreement isn't the problem. Simplification is. Accepting easy answers kills critical thinking. So the real question might not be where you land on abortion. It might be whether you're looking at all of it or just the part that's easiest to defend. I want to hear your real thoughts, even if they're different from mine, because that's how we grow. Drop them in the comments, and if you want more conversations people usually avoid, subscribe now. We're just getting started over here. I'll see you next time. Bye.